Hello, my good people. Alrighty, here we go. The last video. I could be lying. I don't know. I can't tell yet. But anyway, the fun we're going to have today is working on data analysis and data interpretation questions. That's our first grouping. So back to test number 1. We're going to go to number 20. Okay, and number 20 says the graph following the passage offers evidence that gift givers base their predictions of how much a gift will be appreciated on something. So let's go there. We go back a page and we look at this thing here. All right, it's a graph. When you look at a graph or a table or a chart or anything, make sure you understand it first. Okay, so that means reading the title, which says givers perceived and recipients actual gift appreciations. Okay, and then we look at the X and Y axis. All right, the X axis on the left is giver, on the right is recipient, and the Y axis is appreciation, right, mean appreciation. We have two bars, a dark bar and a lighter bar. The dark bar is for a less expensive gift, and the light bar is for the more expensive gift. All right, and we just have to look at it and see if we can understand it. So the giver, according to the title, that's the giver's perceived appreciation. So if I'm the giver, right, on the left-hand side, and I'm giving a less expensive gift, I think it's going to be appreciated at 5.5. It's kind of a random number. Now, if I give a more expensive gift, I think it's going to be appreciated about 6.25. Do you see that? So I think if I spend more money, you're going to love me more. Okay, that's what it comes down to. If I'm a recipient, I'm receiving the gift, I'm actually appreciating the less expensive gift more than the more expensive gift. You see, the black bar is higher than the light bar. Okay, so now we go back because I have no idea what the question says anymore. It says, what do gift givers base their predictions on in terms of how much their gift is going to be appreciated? Well, I just said it, right? I said, if I'm a giver, I think you're going to love me if I spend a ton of money on you. So it's going to be based on how much money I spend, and then I just look for the answer that says that. Yeah, well, that's B, the monetary value of the gift, right? So if you spend a few seconds trying to kind of suss out what this chart or this graph is saying, you just get the answer like that. Okay. So now let's do number 21. The authors would likely attribute the differences in gift giver and recipient mean appreciation as represented in the graph to what? Well, okay. So you have a choice here. I always like to, if a graph is in the picture, I always like to just rely on the graph. I don't want to have to go back and read anything in addition to that. The question is, can you solve the problem just looking at the graph? Now, of course, these are the last two questions in the section, and you would have gone over a bunch of these questions. And so ideally, you would already have figured that out based on the other questions. We haven't done that, and that's okay. Let's just see if we can figure it out based on the graph only. And I don't know, we might not be able to. So the question is saying, what's the difference between the appreciation between giver and receiver? And what could that be attributed to? An inability to shift perspective. I'm just going to say, I don't know. I think so, maybe. It's just a definite maybe. B says, an increasingly materialistic culture. Now, I don't know. I have a feeling we might have to go back and read a little bit. I hate to say that. And it may be for you that you decide to just guess on this question. And that is fine. You could just pick A or whatever your guess letter is and call it a day, move on. But if you understand this article, then you should not do that. You should just do the problem, right? Now, there is nothing in this article that talks about materialism and like we're getting more materialistic. So if you understand that, then you would not pick B as your answer. Okay, let me go back there. Okay, C. A growing opposition to gift giving? No, that has nothing, that's totally irrelevant. C is out for sure. And D sounds actually decent to me, a misunderstanding of intentions. You know, I'm going to go with either A or D, and now we have to choose which seems more likely. We determined from the graph that as a gift giver, I think if I spend more money, you're going to love me more. And as a recipient, I actually like when you spend less money on me. So I don't know if that's about intention, a misunderstanding of intention, or if that's just about, I don't even know the words, if that's just about something else. What I'll say is I definitely feel comfortable with choosing either A or D. I know one of those are right. And at this point, if I'm not sure, I'm just going to go with one. I'm just going to go with A because I don't think intention is the problem. I think it's just two people are thinking differently about giving gifts and receiving gifts. So I'm going to choose A, but I honestly am not that sure. Well, I'm not really being honest. I'm playing a student. But you see what I mean? It's okay to get it down to the two, and if you're not sure, you just pick the best one to the best of your ability. Sometimes you'll be right, sometimes you'll be wrong. Hey, I happen to be right this time. I chose A. Surprise. Yeah, and it's true that it's not about intentions. It's just about one person's perspective, right? If I spend money, you're going to like me more. And the other person says, I don't care how much money you spend, right? It's not about intentions. All right, I said that enough. Okay, let's move on to 28. All right, that's the next passage. And if we go to the page before that, we see a big chart. It's just a table with a lot of numbers in it. Okay, 28 says, based on the table and passage, which choice gives the correct percentages of the purines in yeast DNA? So what I'm looking at is purines in yeast DNA. So I go to the chart, and I see that, in fact, under organism, I see yeast. And I see that the title of the whole table is base composition of DNA. So I know I'm in the right place, yeast DNA. All right, now, what I don't see in this is purine. I see nothing in this table about purine, so now I'm a little concerned. Now I feel like I pretty much have to go into the passage and figure out what the heck a purine is. So I'm going to start up at the top. Oh, okay, here it is. I see it. Line 7 is the first time I see purine. And the sentence reads, 2 of the possible bases, adenine and guanine, are purines. So now I know I have to look at adenine and guanine. And in fact, I'm going to just take my pencil, and you should do this, and circle adenine and guanine. So you don't have to remember it. Okay, so now we go back to our table. We go to yeast. We go to adenine, which is 31.3. We go to guanine, which is 18.7. And we just look at the answers and see is those answers, right? So that's it. We just have to get oriented. All right, in this case, we did need to define what purines was in order to answer the question. Okie dokie, we go to 29. This is also about that same table. It says, do the data in the table support the author's proposed pairing of bases in DNA? Okay, so the proposed pairing of bases. Well, you know what? The proposed pairing of bases, I think, is what they were talking about. Let's see. Preparing of... So this is all about the adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine in this table. And how are they paired? So that's what I'm looking for. And I go down, 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 down. I see it. Line 34, 35. It says the only pairs of bases possible are adenine with thymine and guanine with cytosine. So I would circle on your page that. Okay, mark up your page just to make it easier for you. So adenine and thymine, so A and T. And we look like at any one. We can choose any row. Let's just choose maize, the top row. Adenine is 26.8. Thymine is 27.2. Okay, that's pretty close. Guanine and cytosine go together, and they're 22.8 and 23.2. So the pairing so far seems to be pretty good. Let's go to octopus because the numbers are really different. So adenine and thymine are in the 30s. Guanine and cytosine are in the 17s. I'm good. I'm good. I think that these match. So we go back to 29. And I'm going to say yes, the table does support the author's proposed pairing. Now it's a question of, is it A or B? What explanation makes sense? So A says, for each given organism, the percentage of adenine is closest to thymine, and guanine is closest to cytosine. Well, that's what we just did. So I think that's the answer. But I just want to make sure and quickly look at B, and that says the percentage of adenine is closest to guanine. No, that's not what we did at all. Adenine and thymine. So A is it. Okay? So this is just making sure that everything is in order, right? Checking the numbers, doing the comparisons, seeing what the pairings are, and then reading the answers carefully to make sure you don't mess that up. Okay, and then finally, let's do 30, and then I think we'll be done with data analysis. 30 says, according to the table, which of the following pairs of base percentages in sea urchin DNA provides evidence in support of the answers to the previous question? So we just want sea urchin DNA and which numbers go together with that. So, flippy, we go to sea urchin, and we know it's going to either be 32.8 and 32.1, because we want paired numbers, or the 17s, either 17.7 or 0.3. So we just look at that. Oh, well, clearly it's got to be A. That's everything else has a big number and a small number. A is the only one with the two small numbers that are paired. Okay, so that one should be pretty easy. Okay, good.